Hey there. Going to talk about the Viltrox EF-R3 Speedbooster. This is a cheaper alternative to the Canon Speedbooster. It just came out recently, and I have a feeling many of you guys are probably interested in this product. Right off the bat, I want to get the price out of the way because I think that's the biggest draw to the Viltrox Speedbooster. The Canon Speedbooster is $600, and the Viltrox is $268. So, did I catch your attention? Is it any good? That's what we're going to get into today. Before we get into that, really quickly, hopefully you know what a speed booster is. What it's going to do with this system here for the Canon C70 is it takes an EF mount full frame lens and converts it to a full frame view and some other stuff onto a Super 35 sensor. So hopefully you know what that is, and if you haven't, I made a great video. I'll leave a link up here and also down below if you want to check out all the nerdy details about what a speed booster is. And these both work great. I think that's the bottom line. There's a couple of differences, and that's what we're going to get into. I think the biggest thing really that you're curious about is how does this compare with the Canon Speedbooster? And I think that's a fair question. So frankly, just to start, they look very similar. They're little adapters. They come with caps and feet for a tripod mount. And weight-wise, they're a little bit similar. I'd say the Canon is just a little bit heavier, but when you're talking about a system like this, I don't think that really matters so much. One of the big questions you're going to have is about build quality, and that was a question that I would definitely have about these two speed boosters. Overall, the Canon is a little bit heavier, and it makes me, in my brain, think that it's, higher build quality. But if you take a look, they're pretty similar. One difference I noticed right away is that the Viltrox over here has a, looks like a USB port, so maybe you can update it with firmware and stuff. I think you can update the Canon one through the camera, but I don't know, that's something that's in there. But overall, it seems like maybe the weight's throwing me off, but the Viltrox seems a little bit lighter and a little bit cheaper made just because of maybe the weight. Maybe the plastic just feels a little bit less durable, but how it holds up in the long run is always a question mark with these kinds of things. So what I do here is I want to pop this on the C70. So you can see what that looks like. So let's pop this on. And we got a serious problem here. So this is the tripod mount here. And when this is on the camera, on the adapter, you can't actually get it on the camera. So I have to take this off to put this on. So we do that first. All right, so now that I have the Viltrox adapter on the C70, it does feel very solid. But I have to say that was pretty weird that you had to take this off before you put it on. Now, if the thing is mounted on there all the time, not a big deal. If you do want to use the tripod collar mount, you can have this on there and then put this on, and it does fit on there fine, but you have to do it in that order, and that's kind of a pain. And if you're taking it on and off and swapping it out with RF lenses or maybe the straight-through EF to RF adapter, then you got to think about that. The Canon one has it built in, and it definitely comes on and off no problem. So that's a big difference right there. Now that it's on the camera, it feels very solid. I don't feel really any wiggle or anything like that. And as I put on the lens here, I do notice that it has just a little bit of wiggle. And I don't really like that, but it doesn't change the connection. The connection's been very solid, and I haven't had any issues with the electronics or any of the performance or anything like that. But, is it something that'll loosen over time? Not sure, but right now it is working. And I'll compare this right here with the Canon, and I'll show you that is a little bit more solid. Got the Canon Speedbooster on here, and I can show you that it does not have any wiggle whatsoever. It feels super, super solid. And another thing that's really neat about the Canon one is that it comes with these brackets that hold the speed booster on really tight onto the body, so it gives you a little bit more confidence. And so these guys just bolt right on here, and they hold the speed booster in place, and it makes it really solid. Again, if you are just taking this on and off all the time and swapping it out with other things, you probably won't be using it, but it does give you that little bit of extra confidence. Again, that's all the stuff that it comes with, these two adapters. The Viltrox just comes with this little tripod foot. The foot is built into the Canon one, and the Canon one also comes with these little brackets that hold it in. So what next we're going to go over, we're going to talk about image quality, field of view, autofocus, and flaring, and we'll get on to what you should buy. Do a little image quality comparison here. This is the Canon Speedbooster. And this is the Viltrox Speedbooster. So for those two examples I just showed you, those were shot in C-Log 2, and I used the basic Canon LUT 2 Rec 709, so I didn't do any color grading on that whatsoever, so I wouldn't influence my, the outcome of that, so you guys could see the difference. One thing that I did notice was the field of view was slightly different, and you can see here that the Canon is just a little bit more punched in than the Viltrox, so the Viltrox gives you a little bit wider field of view. And for an autofocus test, right now we have the EF 24mm wide open, and so this will give the hardest test on the autofocus system on the C70 and also the Speedbooster. So let's take a look. And now we're on the Viltrox Speedbooster. You can see from this autofocus test that I don't think there was much of a difference at all. I think they both performed pretty much equally. This was with face priority on the C70, and I didn't see any real difference there. Another question I had about the Viltrox Speedbooster was about that purple circle that appeared as a purple flare in the center of the image on the Canon Speedbooster. I did a whole video about that. I'll leave that up here and also down below. I did a quick test here with an extreme backlighting situation just to emphasize the effect and the point here. And I noticed that it was present in both of them. It looked slightly different, but it didn't go away. I was hoping maybe the Viltrox didn't have that issue too, but I think it's just a problem with speed boosters in general, and just wanted to show you here that it exists in both of these situations. Well, in conclusion, which one should you buy? I think it really depends on your use case. I think if you're using this all the time and you really need to be super reliable and it's going to live on your camera, I'd say probably go for the Canon just because it does feel a little bit better made. It also bolts onto the camera, and I have less worry about that sort of play in the connection. And I think, if you're someone that uses this a little bit more sporadically, like if you just pop this on once in a while to get a little bit wider field of view, maybe better low light in a certain situation, then maybe the Viltrox is a good bet for you. There's a big price difference, so I think it really depends on, how you're using it. That little jiggle that I saw with the connection was a little bit alarming to me in terms of long-term build quality, but it didn't give me at this moment in time any issues with connectability, reliability, or having information pass back and forth, the optics, image quality, autofocus, all that kind of stuff. So I think again, it's probably something about your use case and which one you should go for. Viltrox makes a lot of adapters for a lot of different cameras, so maybe you guys have had some experiences with them before. And in full disclosure, Viltrox did send me this to test, but they don't get to see this before it goes out, and it's just my personal opinion. I've been not paid to make this video, so if you're interested in checking this out, I will leave a link down below for you guys to check out this adapter. Again, it's a nice little option. I really love to see third-party options with camera gear because I think it just makes everything more competitive and pushes everyone, in a better direction, and it's great to have options. So there you go, the Viltrox EF-R3 on the C70. Definitely an option for you. Go check it out. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you did, consider hitting subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.